The Kramer Show on NewsTalk 101.
Scott Majors joining us for hour 2. 844-800-LAWS. That's the number to get in touch with Mr. Scott Majors. Scott Majors is going to be our first guest in the Live from the Atrium show on next Friday. Can't wait to see you again, my friend, and it should be great. You can win a ticket by going to newstalk101.com. Get a ticket. You'll go there and register to win, and I guess we'll have about 20 or 30 people in the studio audience in the atrium. Good morning, sir.
Al?
How are you, bud?
I'm great. No complaints, my friend.
I love it. I wanted to kind of start off by throwing you a little bit of a curveball and talk a little bit about politics. Because I'm curious as to where you sit on this. Don Cheadle, an actor, he said that Donald Trump could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and call somebody the N-word and would not lose voters. And I'm seeing a lot of people, particularly on the left, that are triggered by what Donald Trump said about the quote-unquote, quote-quote, squad, the squad. I want to get your take on that.
Sure. There's a lot of misunderstanding on the Democratic side. It's unfortunate that they're polarized to such, rhetoric and such name-calling that they don't have any kind of message about how they're going to make America great or greater. And instead, every word that Trump says is scrutinized and criticized at a level that is just distressing. It's okay if you disagree with something that Trump says or something that somebody says, but to disregard all of the horrific anti-Israel, anti-Semitic, racial statements that some of these individuals who are casting, throwing the first stone, is really distressing. And I think it's just a unfortunate media manipulation. And what should happen is if you want to have discourse, you want to talk about, hey, you don't like the tone of what somebody says, or you want to constructively debate whether or not some sentence is appropriate or not. The bottom line is that spewing hatred for America, taking our flag down and desecrating it and putting it on upside down, heightening the Mexican flag, lying to the American people and saying there was no crisis on the border, and things like this do nothing but really shine a light on the disgusting behavior that some people have under the guise of, who cares what I say? Let me get on TV and make strong statements because I'll get my own name out there and I'll become more impressive. The idea that anybody would suggest that there was not a crisis on the border is disgusting. The idea that anybody would suggest that Trump has done nothing for America or has not bettered America is disgusting. And more importantly, it's grossly false. And again, if we want to debate the issues, that's perfectly appropriate. You disagree with a particular health plan or you disagree with a particular statement or a position, then fine, espouse a counterposition that's logical and makes sense. Not a $92 trillion, health care for everyone mentality, or saying you're going to forgive everybody's college debt just because you want to get the young vote out there. Let's just lie to the American people and not tell them that in order to pay for that kind of handout, every single American family would be taxed $65,000 a year in order to pay for that. That's just the facts, whether you like it or not. And what upsets me the most is that people aren't having intelligent discourse, that the media is not having intelligent discourse, that we're not having discussions about debates. If you think that Obamacare is a great plan, then explain to the American people how insurance rates have doubled and tripled since then, and explain why it's not a function of Obamacare, and then say, here's how I'm going to make this better. I'm going to expand it by doing X, Y, and Z, and that will guarantee the lowering of rates, etc. Whatever position you have, if you have a position that is logical, talk about it. But this garbage, this disgusting, let's impeach Trump, and he's not really the president, he's the occupant of the White House, these kinds of disgusting statements are just so counterproductive. And what they do is they rally people, especially our youth. They rally people for the wrong reasons. They rally people for the wrong reasons to take positions and to take polarized views when they're ignorant of the real facts. Just get the facts and be more, smart about it. Do we all agree with every tweet that Trump states? No. Do we all sometimes wish that there was, less name calling on all sides? Of course we do. But to make that a focal statement, to say that is the reason why we should get some socialist regime in power like they have in Venezuela or other places, it's just awful. And I wish there were ways that we could communicate better, that you could have strong disagreements with anybody. You can disagree with Trump's policies or other people in the Republican sector, but you can do it with facts and information and not polarization and name calling and silly things that do nothing to just get you attention for your 15 minutes of fame.
Yeah, I really do. I totally agree with what you said, but then you started talking about actual policies, and you started thinking with your brain instead of emotions. And God forbid anybody to do that, because I think the lack of substance is what's causing the bubbling of emotion on the left. I think that's what's happening. I think you're right. I don't think they have any comprehension or idea of what they want to do politically to get our country further. I never hear about any ideas. Never any of the candidates I will give Mayor Pete a little bit of a slide, because he does talk about policies a lot, and that's the actual one thing about him on that side that I like. But then the others, it's just emotion. Then you got AOC, and you got Presley and Tlaib, and it's all emotion all the time. Never hearing about policies. Never hear about that. I'm really over that. People that talk about politics in the emotional sense really believe they're talking about politics. You're not. You're talking about your feelings.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And I'll tell you that what's unfortunate about this is this plays into Trump's hands. By making these people, these squad or whatever you want to label them, they're just Congress people that are supposed to represent their districts. I mean, by making them the focal point and engaging in this rhetoric back and forth, what it does for people is it embarrasses Democrats. It embarrasses what they stand for. And unfortunately, what this is doing is this is helping the Republicans. And the reason why I say unfortunately is not because you don't want a Republican view to stand, but because what we really like to do is really like to find out what the Democratic platform is. Not we're just going to make more jobs for people, but how are you going to do that? Not that we're going to change health care, but how are you going to do that? Not that we're just going to not give free handouts, but how are we going to do that in an intelligent situation? Why isn't everybody trying to fix the immigration crisis? There's a clip I should send you of Chuck Schumer. Chuck Schumer absolutely, just chastising everyone who would consider somebody or call them an undocumented immigrant and not calling them an illegal alien. And how it is absurd that we don't have legislation against that. What we should be doing is figuring out what the solutions are, and all of us debating that. And then you can have views about what you want to do or not want to do. The idea is to create discourse and to have intelligent discussion, even if you disagree. So what's happening is this takeover of the party by this extremely, if you want to call them far left, whether you like them or not, what it's done is it's made it easier for people to decide that they don't want that. the American public, if you look out into the world, they don't want a socialist country. They don't want to pay $65,000 a family. They don't want that. And I'm not sure that represents the majority of even Democrats. And that's what's really, really tragic and unfortunate, because now we're not getting a healthy discourse of views. And that's just, to me, that's what's most sad about this. But in terms of politically and strategically, it's certainly a productive thing for the Republicans to get in the American people behind them. I would like to see more laws passed by Republicans. I'd like to see them, the entire Senate and House, trying to forward legislation so we can learn more about it. I'd like to hear in the public view what are all the accomplishments that Trump has had over the past years, and have them repeating them over and over again so that people can understand. And I have questions. And one of the questions I have is, why is the African American vote, why is that population, why is the Hispanic population not 90% in favor of Trump when he has the lowest employment levels and highest job rates in the history of recording for these individuals? And that's because the media has sort of suppressed that. That's because we have a media bias. I don't want to attack the media. I wish the media would just report it equally, and then you could choose your side. But that's what's unfortunate about some of the things that are going on.
Yeah, I agree with you. And you also have people like Schumer that support reparations, and they scream that kind of crap from the rafters over and over and over again. You got people that are, if you cross the border illegally, you come into our country, and then we promise you free health care, and then we promise you that we'll give you a driver's license, and we promise you this, and we promise you that. And, why would you not come here? And, why would you not be shouting towards the Democratic side in that vein? And I believe you're right, too, that the media is just as guilty as anybody of being leftist. We got to take a break. We'll get to some more information about post-Hurricane Michael, too. And I want to pump up that Scott is going to be here for our first Live from the Atrium. More to come with Scott Major coming up next.
The Kramer Show. I want you off the premises now. 6 to 9 weekdays on NewsTalk at 101. If it happens in Panama City, Kramer is talking about it. The Kramer Show, 6 to 9 daily on NewsTalk at 101.
Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team with us. Stormhelpteam.org. Scott is going to be our first guest and live from the Atrium next Friday. He'll be here in person. You can come by, get a copy. If you win and you get a ticket in, you'll get a copy of his book. We'll give you a MAGA hat. We'll give you a Keep America Great hat. Maybe a Love and Kisses You T-shirt. We got catered breakfast for you. You'll have a microphone where you'll be able to interact with Scott and I. You'll have a chair, be right there. It'll be I'm looking forward to this. I think it'll be a great thing. And I think the content of the show is going to be important as well. And, and I'm going to kind of leave that up to you in one regard. But I think the idea of getting people together to ask questions to someone like you about how to button their lives up legally, I think is really important. Barry, which was out in the was being forecasted to kind of hit here, and a lot of people here had a lot of anxiety about it, and it just kind of took us back. To me, it just made me remember the feeling of, holy crap, what if this thing really hits and it's really bad? And then it hit, and it was really bad, and there were mistakes made. And I think that's going to be an important show.
Right? I think the key for people is to understand, what do I do now? In other words, as I haven't been completely compensated, or I haven't been compensated at all, either one of those, what do I do? How do I handle the next steps? What is the litigation process like? How much easier is it when people understand that they have, a quality lawyer who's going to go out and get them all of the money that they deserve. And I think that people are going to be really, really excited when they hear some of the neat ways that we are being successful with recovering money. I mean, we filed 70 lawsuits in the past, 20 days alone. And I'll tell you that it's amazing how things are going in terms of the success rate and the positioning that we're getting from insurance companies who realize that now they need to pay at least the undisputed amounts, or they need to pay the entire amounts. Secondly, because of our complaints, we actually have insurance companies being investigated. We're actually contacted by the state in the last couple of days to ask us whether or not we were okay with them investigating a particular insurance company for wrongful acts that they engaged in the manner in which they handled certain claims. So this movement is helping everyone. It is helping the individuals and the business owners and the churches and the consumers to get recovery fast. It is calling attention to insurance companies to say, hey, just do the right thing. If you made some mistakes, do the right thing, but we're no longer going to tolerate the profits over people mentality. Do the right thing. And those insurance companies that do the right thing are going to get more business. And thirdly, people are going to get their lives back and feel like, hey, I've got some peace of mind, and we're rebuilding our community in a way that's stronger and better and more exciting for the future and more tolerable for the incoming tourists. And we can get our businesses back open. And I'm just hoping that through our radio show and through the live broadcast we're going to do, that more people will understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel, but you need to take these next steps and get professionals, experts, people who really know what they're doing in the courtroom to help you to amass this and to understand what the future holds in terms of getting insurance. And in the future, should you have a flood or a vandalism or a fire or any kind of storm-related claim, that you'll act sooner and get experts involved sooner to help take all of the stress off of your lives. I can't tell you how many people we represent that are so happy now that they don't have to worry about their claim because some big bad lawyers are worrying about their claim and taking care of it. And they can move forward with their jobs and their lives knowing that there will be a finite end to this, and it will be a positive one.
Yeah, I think what you just said there makes a whole, I mean, the anxiety about having to go through all this stuff. I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, and I said, or I haven't seen her in a long, long time, and she's like, hey, how are things? I said, okay. And she goes, well, how are things in Panama City? And I said, kind of bad. And she knows what we were going through. And she goes, what seems to be the main problem or the main issue? And I said, I think a lot of it just stems from people that are really, really tired because they had all this damage. They haven't gotten their money, and they're waiting. And then they get a little bit of money, and then they feel like there's a little bit of light at the end of the tunnel, and then there's nothing else after that. And so they're having to deal with the insurance companies, the mortgage companies, and dealing back and forth with vendors. All of that adds up. I mean, that's a major stressor. I mean, when you've got a lot going on, you're trying to rebuild your home and your family, you're trying to rebuild your business. Having an attorney like Scott Major on your side would be, to me, the best thing in the whole world, just to get rid of some of that anxiety. It's just really frustrating.
Yeah, and I'll tell you that I think that people did not understand the magnitude of the disruption of their life. They also imagined that their public adjuster or their contractor or whoever would really get their money very quickly. And nobody understood what you and I talked about in month 1, that you were going to have people in months 6 to 9 starting to realize that they're not getting anything, or they're not getting what they think they should be getting. And I'll tell you that what's really, important, and we learned from your and my discussions over 9 months, is that if you get to the right person early, people with experience, I've been on both sides of the coin and understand the way insurance companies work, you can more quickly get to the heart of the problem. We're willing to work with every insurance company. We didn't just get hired by people and start filing lawsuits. We tried everything we could to avoid the litigation process. But once we realized that that's not going to work, we're immediately proceeding forward with the appropriate reporting and suits. And I think that if you know that something is in able hands, if you have a lawyer that you know whatever you're entitled to, you're going to get, I think what happens is, I think it gives you a peace of mind, an understanding that this is really going to work out okay. Life is going to be better. I'm going to get my life back. And not only that, I'm going to have a better life because I'm going to get my home fixed. And it's going to look like it's brand new, like they just built a new home for me, or they just fixed the things in a better way where I won't have these problems in the future. And I can't emphasize enough that I only wish that there wasn't such disinformation, and bad-mouthing of the best lawyers around. And I think that would have helped.
I would agree. More to come with Scott Major. Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. More next.
This is the Kramer Show on Panama City's information station, News Talk at 101. Now live.
Special program live from Uranus.
And local in the morning, right here in Panama City. This is Kramer in the Morning on News Talk at 101.
Hey, Scott Major's with us from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. If you want to get on the air and ask Scott a question about post-Hurricane Michael stuff, 233-9988 is our phone number. 850-233-9988. In the past, Scott has said love and kisses you, and we thought that was funny, and we made the T-shirts about that. That will be given away, too, live from the Atrium, July 26th, next Friday. Be here, get your ticket, newstalk101.com. But I think that's, something, too, to recover is your correspondence with the insurance companies. You always say to be nice, don't scream, sign the letter, love and kisses you, and I think that's important to state. And I had another point, but it escaped my mind there real quickly. But
I was going to say to you that I agree that several things should occur that every listener should absolutely take heed of, and that is, number one, you should know the status of your claim, and if you don't, you can write the insurance company. You can ask them, when are they paying your estimate? And your insurance company, when are you paying the estimate that's attached? And if you're not paying it, please specify the specific reasons why and detail the science and math and treatises behind, statutes behind your exclusion of which items. Love and kisses you. And the second thing is, if you have not been paid, I don't care if you're with the best public adjuster or the best contractor, if you have not been paid, I am telling you, get a lawyer involved. Get the best lawyer you can find, because I'm telling you, you're going to get more recovery when we file suit, because now the insurance company has to pay their lawyer and your lawyer and you. And that motivation is a big and important motivation. You could be with the nicest and best contractor or public adjuster out there. It has been 9 months. Get yourself a lawyer. Get the best lawyer who's handled 500 or more cases. There's a few of them out there. Dial the 844-800-LAWS number. This is just reality. If you want to get your money the fastest and you want to get the most money, okay, I will debate it with anybody. You will always get more money with a lawyer having filed the suit on a very valid claim. So all of you who are listening, it is so important that you make sure that you take the next steps in your journey, and that does not offend the existing contractor or public adjuster you have. We work with them all the time. In fact, we get referrals from contractors and adjusters every day. It's important for you to take the next steps and get the right people involved.
you can do that by calling up Scott at 844-800-LAWS, 844-800-LAWS. Scott's been doing this for a long time. You've worked, how many storms did you say? I mean, he's worked a lot of storms. It's not just in Florida as well. I mean, I've seen video of you on the
Sandy,
news.
Katrina, all the storms around the country. You can start naming them off for the last decades, and I've been through them. But I think more importantly, or maybe equally importantly, I've seen the insurance side. I understand the way they work, and that helps. Sure, there are law firms out there that will claim they do this work or they do a lot of this work, but do they understand the way the insurance company works? Do they understand what the push points are, how to expedite the recovery of your money, how to position you so that if they refuse to pay, there might be a penalty of up to 3 times the amount of money that they owe you, plus other damages. I just can't imagine the amount of emotional damages people would be able to recover if they demonstrated that the insurance company acted in bad faith. And again, my job is not to get out here and bash insurance companies. My job is to get you all the money you deserve. My job is to help you rebuild. My job is to make sure you don't forget that you have window damage just because your windows are operational, that you make sure those are inspected and you don't have a situation a year from now where your windows start leaking or having problems opening or other fogging up or other types of problems. And then the insurance company says you should have made that claim during the hurricane period. I'm trying to get people more intelligent about insurance. I mean, I don't know any lawyers that are doing that are dedicating time on their own dime to try to help you. I went to New York and spent weeks and weeks and weeks after Sandy just giving free speeches and education and telling cities and commissioners and representatives how they can get recovery after the storm. I didn't take a single case. So it's important for people to recognize this is a higher calling. This is something I really want to be able to help people and make a difference in this community, whether you hire me or not. Get the education, get intelligence, and you're going to be in a better place.
How long can an insurance company, after they pay you, I keep hearing that the insurance company will pay out a little bit, How long after that do they have to, shouldn't there be like a time limit? Like, okay, we got to go, you can't just hold on to our money. Sooner or later, there has to be an ending to this. So how long can they legally sit on their hands?
Well, it depends on the type of claim it is. When you have like a full loss, there's a statute that actually covers charging, as much as 12% interest after a certain period of time. But the important thing is, once you establish that you have a valid claim, if we go to court and we succeed, judges and juries can award prejudgment interest. That is, interest from the day that it was due. And so you can recover not only your attorney's fees, but you can recover interest on the monies from the day that they determine that money was due and owing. And that's why it's so important when you get a lawyer involved to make sure you get the right documentation to the insurance company so they're not claiming, well, you never sent us a proof of loss, or we are still waiting on this document or that document. We had a case that just came in and the person was, had a adjuster and they were fighting with the insurance company, and it turns out that they don't even have the right insurance company. It was the wrong insurance company. And so we're now having to start the claim and open it now for the first time. And so the insurance company is saying, I'd be glad to pay you, but we didn't know about this claim for 8 months because you were going after another insurance company. So all I'm saying to people is to make sure that you get the most intelligence and use your gut. If it turns out that you don't feel as though your claim is being moved, get it to a lawyer so that process starts. And that really puts a premium on the insurance company. They better be sure they're right. If they're right, fantastic. But if they're not right, there is a bigger penalty than just having to pay you what they already owed you. And that's so important that you and I have tried to educate people on, is getting smart about that.
Yeah, it seems like you stay on it. If you are handling something on your own, the chances that you're going to be the rabid pit bull that Scott Major is probably, you've got things going on. You're trying to rebuild your house and your life and your business and everything else. you said, and by the way, too, I think it's also important to note that the goal is not to go to court. The goal is to get what you're owed, and if you get the right attorney that knows what he's doing, then oftentimes you may not have to go to court. Correct?
That's absolutely right. And like I say, our goal when we get the case is to get you your money. We're going to do all the things that are necessary to document the claim, but it's to get you your money. Hopefully, I won't have to file suits. Okay? Hopefully, I can make phone calls. I hope that's the case. I don't enjoy filing suits. It'd be better to make people happy by getting them their money, but I'm not gonna lie down. I'm not gonna sit on the sideline. I'm not gonna wait and hope. I'm not gonna listen to rhetoric or other statements about "don't worry, we'll get you your money," or "I've got it under control." What we're going to do is we're going to press them hard to make sure you get paid not $1 more than you deserve, but not $1 less. And great professionals know how to do that. Been doing this a long time, and whether you hire me or you call me up and get the names of other lawyers, get a lawyer involved now. Don't waste any more time. And if you're a condo association or a big company or a business, call us up and we'll give you education on how to buy an insurance policy, who you should be talking to, what you should be looking for, how to make sure that you get paid sooner rather than later. And there's 100 things to talk about when it comes to that.
Live from the Atrium is coming up, so a lot of this will be covered. I mean, we had the insurance show, which was huge, the last time that you were here, and then we'll do that again. We can talk about that, too, in Live from the Atrium, getting you buttoned up with insurance, which, by the way, is just a whole... is a whole other issue, which is I'm sure a lot of people in the area are going through that now, trying to get themselves buttoned up and having that fun conversation. Whoopity-doo, with their insurance agent.
Right. I mean, there's certainly some, as you and I spoke about, there's some simple things you can do on the insurance side, like writing down all of the things that are in your home or that you want covered, and then making sure that you have coverage and sufficient coverage for those items by taking that list and sitting down with an insurance agent or interviewing multiple ones and seeing which ones educate you in a way that say, hey, you need this additional coverage and you need that coverage, and getting things in writing so that in the future you're protected because you relied on somebody and you don't have these problems of people saying, well, I didn't know that coverage existed, and I just relied on some agent who maybe was just not paying attention or just giving you the same standard insurance that they were being told to sell. So it's just so important, and there's so many things you can do that are great for you, that you can do on your own, but that you need education so that you can be successful in getting the insurance to protect yourself in the future against any kind of problem.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that you and I have had these conversations before, too, about how people here didn't know exactly what was in their insurance policy, had never actually read their insurance policy. Then we've had people that have called up and said, I thought so-and-so was covered because I read it was like on the second page, but then on page 4,417, it says it's not covered. So it's right. One of those types of things happen all the time. So to be able to get direction from Scott to know what to say, what you should have insured, and all of that, it's not the funnest thing in the world, but it's something that once you do, it's done, and you can at least sleep better at night, I would assume.
It's just so important for people to make sure they know that the things that are important to them are covered, that they know that they can have the peace of mind that, God forbid, something happens again, I can take my insurance and make sure I'm going to get a complete roof, or my fence that is detached from my home is actually covered, or my fence that is attached to my home is covered, that my screened-in pool is covered. And they don't say, we'll pay for the pool, but not the screen enclosure, or my guest house or my shed is covered, and what's inside the shed or the barn is covered. And these kinds of things that they need protection for are covered, and then you have a lot more peace of mind, and you have the ability to recover in a stronger and more substantial way. And it's not more expensive to get the coverage you need, because sometimes you don't need certain coverage, and so you don't need to purchase that, or you can try to negotiate for a lower rate by excluding things that you don't need coverage for. So these things are just very important to educate people on, so they're armed, so they can make intelligent decisions without the need of a Scott Major. And that's what's really important about this, is to take away the power to know that you can have your life back and in the future avoid this stress by being knowledgeable, and if you have a claim right now, by making sure you get every single dollar you're entitled to. And I think if you do that, we've done a great service, you and I, for the public, if we've educated them in the best way, in the smartest way, and in ways that people did not even know because of the laws actually existed.
Scott Major, you can contact him off the air at 844-800-LAWS, 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 and the website stormhelpteam.org, stormhelpteam.org. Coming up on next Friday, July the 26th, live from the Atrium, Scott's going to be our first ever guest for Live in the Atrium. We have a huge atrium here in our building, and I've always wanted to do a studio guest. But the idea of coming in and watching me doing the show, that seems pretty boring. So I thought, well, why don't we have every month we'll have a great guest on. Next month it'll be Neil Dunn. This month it's going to be Scott Major. And so we're going to give you stuff if you win. We'll give away some tickets on the air and also on the website. So you can go to newstalk101.com and fill out the little form there in the top left. Click on that and then fill out the form, and you'll get to be here. And we'll give you a MAGA hat. We'll give you a Keep America Great hat. We'll throw in a Love and Kisses You T-shirt. We're going to cater the breakfast for everybody that morning. You'll have a microphone, so you'll be able to, instead of call the show, you'll be there, and you'll be part of the show. So we're going to make this a big deal, and I'm really looking forward to it. Maybe we can throw in a copy of your book as well, Scott Major. Not to put you on the spot, but that might be a cool thing to be able to do as well. So hit NewsTalk. Cool. Hit newstalk101.com, and in the little tiles at the top, you'll see the logo for Live from the Atrium. Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. More to come.
This is Kramer. News Talk at 101.
I thought you said we were going to ease up on the sweets after Christmas.
I didn't say we were going cold turkey.
Glad to have Scott Major with us today. Had some phone issues yesterday. We've had phone issues a couple of times. So glad to have him back on. We'll have him back on again tomorrow. And then in the studio in the Atrium coming up on next Friday. So we got a lot of Scott Major coming up, baby. How's Brian? Major Parúas and the Storm Help Team. You got Brian Parúas. What's going on with
Brian's awesome, man.
Yeah. You guys, last time you were here, you're talking about how great he is on the phone with these insurance people, these desk level adjusters. And you know, I mean, that's a huge part of it. Getting the right person on the phone that can make a decision is huge. And then for someone who is not so emotionally invested into it, to be able to have a decent cerebral conversation with someone is huge. And I get that that's one of his strengths.
Yeah, I think there's a real missing skill out there amongst lawyers, and that is the ability to negotiate and communicate. And a lot of times, you know, these situations are built on relationships. These adjusters didn't write the insurance policy. They don't really have a dog in that fight. They actually have an interest in getting these claims off of their desk, getting them resolved. And I'm not sure there's a better person out there than Brian Parúas when it comes to speaking to them and knowing what to say, how to say it, how to press them, and how to push them. He's probably talked to 1,000, adjusters. And I'm just telling you that there are very few people that I know in the world who have that ability. And when it comes to your money, and it comes to getting a resolution quickly, and it comes to getting your life back, the fastest way you can get your money is your goal. And so we try to tag team the concept of going out there and litigating where we need to and writing the strong letters but also the diplomacy of knowing when to speak to the person, how to speak to them. He gets along with them swimmingly. He develops relationships with them. They oftentimes have multiple claims in front of the carriers because we have so many claims. And so what happens is we can leverage that to our benefit. And that is a big deal because you can get a lot of claims resolved and get a lot of bees with honey, while at the same time recognizing we need to be fully paid and fully compensated. And I think that that's an important critical criteria. I'm not sure there's another firm in the country that I'm aware of that has that kind of unique combination put together so that people can maximize their dollars to them as quickly and expeditiously as possible.
Got about a minute left, and negotiating. I've heard different opinions on this. When an insurance company tells you, well, you tell the insurance company, here's what I'm expecting. This is what it costs. Here's the number. It's $50,000. The insurance company comes back and they go, we'll maybe do 40. And then the other side comes back and goes, 45. And then I can't in my mind buy into that, because if you're owed 50 and you paid 50 out and you had 50 in damage and you were never late and you had your insurance policy, that's what it says. That's what you're owed in my mind.
You're absolutely right, and I'll tell you quickly that this is not a personal injury case where there's no finite sum owed and you can negotiate. This is a situation where if it costs $50,000 to fix your roof and contents and other things, you're entitled to that $50,000, and if they don't pay it, you're entitled to sue, and you're entitled to recover your $50,000 plus however many tens of thousands of dollars of attorney fees and costs, plus whatever they have to pay their own lawyer. So I think negotiation is a great tool when there are variables that are in play. But when you have specific, finite, fixed amounts that are due and owing in order to fix your property, there's nothing wrong with standing strong on what you believe or making the business decision about what you believe and how soon you want your money.
Fantastic hour today, man. Thank you so much. There you go. Scott Major from Major Parúas and the Storm Health Team. Scott, we'll do it again tomorrow, my friend.
Hey, thanks for your time and all you do for the community. Really appreciate it.
Scott, I love you.
Be well.
Julia, tell Julie we said hello.
I will.
See you later, man. I'll talk to you tomorrow. There you go.
Bye-bye.
I love it, man. Scott Major. Hour number 3 coming up. Hang it.
More of The Kramer Show next. News Talk at 101.
It's super duper.